Buongiorno, mon amis. It is I, Autumn, and it is Wednesday. It's actually about 5 in the morning Wednesday. I really should be in bed, actually. I'm exhausted. You can probably hear it in my voice. But I'm not going to really have much time tomorrow to do my video, or, well, not tomorrow, the daylight, I should say, when I do my videos. So I'd rather get it done now, not have a repeat of my last one, where it took me forever to upload. So yeah, so rather do it now and be tired and get it done with for everyone to watch, as opposed to taking a couple extra days. But yeah, so been decent couple of days, can't really complain. Had a stressful day yesterday, but thankfully a lot of the issues kind of just solved themselves. It's kind of funny how time can really do that for you. By the way, if anyone's curious, this is actually me without no makeup at all. Which, I don't know, I still don't really feel comfortable doing. I have no idea if I pass without makeup. I don't even know if I pass. Honestly, I don't think I pass with makeup, but everyone else tells me so, and I don't know. I don't know, let me know what you guys think, if I look like a complete dude right now, or I look like my normal self. I'm probably just being silly, but, whatever. So let's get right to it. Let's get right to it this week, which our topic is coming out stories. So I'm going to share with you a couple, well, coming out stories and then taking baby steps. So I'm going to share with you a couple. And then I'm going to give you a brief idea of how I got the ball rolling. I'm going to start with the biggest one. Unfortunately, it's also the most depressing, but I'd rather get that out of the way than, I'd rather end it on a high note. And that was coming out to my ex, which I hate saying ex, because we still talk, we're still friends, and I still love her, and, she's still family to me. Ex sounds like, like, oh yeah, man, check out my ex-wife, I don't like thinking like that, especially the mother of my child. But, I remember this was fall of 2010. I want to say probably around September, October. Yeah, around September, so just the beginning of fall. And I'd spent that summer kind of finally coming to grips with myself that I need to, at the very least, see a gender therapist about, possible transition steps, or really just working it out. At that point, I really wasn't certain what I wanted to do. All I know is that I really needed to get into therapy and do the right thing. Both for me and my family. Really my family more than anything. I think, honestly, before transition, before having a family, I would have been content with distracting myself with a number of different things. And ironically, had I not had a kid, I think I know I've mentioned in other videos, if I had not had my daughter, probably would have waited years to transition, just because I wasn't able to focus on myself. I was too, I was too good at distracting myself. But I remember we had a really great evening, and, felt really just incredibly close to her, and her to I, and we'd just been intimate, and I'm holding her and she's holding me, and I felt so loved and so safe. And I figured there couldn't be a better time to tell her. And I simply said, listen, I don't mean to alarm you, but I really think I need to go see a therapist about my gender issues. I really need to see a professional and see if possibly transition is right for me. I didn't word it exactly like that. I'm kind of paraphrasing myself. I'm trying to remember exactly what I said, but it was kind of a blur anyway. Unfortunately, that kind of freaked her out, and she cried about it, and I felt like the world's biggest asshole, and honestly, I didn't bring it up for nearly 3 weeks later. I just kind of had to force this into the conversation again, and at first it was a lot of wishy-washy. She wasn't certain, and then she said she was, she was okay with staying and working it out, and it eventually got to the point where she just couldn't do it because she wasn't a lesbian. So you know, and I can't honestly blame her for that, as much as I would love her, or would have loved her to stay. Still wish she could have stayed, quite honestly. Um, you know, that's the only thing. You can't force someone to be something they're not, to be in a relationship they're not. I deserve to be happy, and she deserves to be happy, and that's actually what she said. She said, I can support you in this, but I just can't be with you romantically. Um, yeah, that really sucks, because I really loved her. Um, but it could have been worse. Some days are better than others. I remember, though, so, you know, also I remember starting to formulate a plan to come out to my family. And my first person I chose was my birth mother. I should clarify real quick that I'm adopted. It was a very open adoption. I've met my birth mother several times. We've never really been close, and I've always kind of felt awkward. But I decided to tell her first before anyone else because, well, if she didn't approve, then who really cared? You know what I mean? She was kind of sort of family, but only in the blood-related sense. So, you know, it didn't really quite matter if she denied it. But I remember basically just saying, listen, there's something I really need to talk to you about. And I just kind of spilled it and said, here's the deal. You know, I'm actually a woman. I'm transgendered, and I need to take steps about this. Or I am taking steps about this. I think it was this time, no, it was about a year ago, actually. Maybe a little bit more than a year ago. So I was starting to take process for it, you know, steps for it. And I remember her response was, really? So what? If it makes you happy, then you do it. You go out and you reach for it. And we've actually become good friends since then. You know, it's not a, you know, don't confuse anything. She's not my mom in one bit, you know, but she is a good friend, and she does give a good advice, and sometimes it is easier to talk to her about certain things than it is my own mother. So yeah, so that was really good because, well, obviously I rekindled a friendship. You know, I rekindled something I would have never had I not decided to transition. I really would have never seen any reason to contact with her. And now because of it, I've discovered a whole sort of set of, you know, half-brothers and biological half-brothers and sisters that I've, you know, have become friends with. It's different. It's not family. It will never be family. I have my own family, and they have me. But it's nice to know that there are other people out there. And yeah, so it was a really good experience. And then I remember when I told my parents, because obviously that's kind of the big one. I was terrified, honestly, and I mean, who wouldn't? You know, I'd convinced myself for years that, you know, they wouldn't understand that, you know, my parents adopted me when they're 50, they're in their 70s now, you know, I just figured they were too set in their ways, and I didn't want to put the stress on them, honestly, of that. But I remember telling my dad, first, actually, of all people, and he didn't disapprove. He listened to me, and he said that, listen, he's like, this is hard for me to understand, but it's because I'm not you. He's like, I don't know how it is to feel the way you do, but I don't discredit it, you know. And he's been around a lot, and he's seen a lot of things. I'm not the first trans person he's ever encountered, so he understood, you know, what I was saying was true. And at this point, I'd already been, you know, working on seeing a therapist, and, you know, I explained to them the whole situation, so it wasn't like I went into it blind. And then I remember telling my mom about it. It's so funny. She said she would have helped me transition during puberty had I'd only asked, had I just let her know. She kept asking, was there anything she did wrong? Not to make me trans, but for me not to tell her. And actually, it made me seriously depressed for about a week because, well, I was thinking the possibilities of, you know, I could have transitioned during puberty and avoided a lot of pain and misery that I've been going through because of it. But, of course, having my daughter, I've come to peace with that, the fact that I would rather wait. If I had to do everything before, I would rather wait to have her and do everything that I did up to that point and have her and then transition, than to transition at 18, 16, even 12, you know. So I finally had peace in that. So those are the three big ones, really. I mean, of course, telling friends and telling work and all that. And honestly, if I went into all that, this video would be 40 minutes long, and I don't want to bore people to tears, honestly. But I actually, before I even got on hormones, before I even started therapy, honestly, I knew there was a lot that I had changed myself. And so my first sort of coming out steps was to really try and come in with, do all the things free, basically, of myself. And that was, seeking resources online, exploring myself, doing sort of self-guided meditation to a certain extent, looking inwards and really trying to understand where I'm coming from to myself. Now, the other big thing I had to do was beginning of 2010 and until this fall of 2010, when I started to take real actions about this, I was a little over 300 pounds. Now I'm I've lost about 80 pounds actually, which is a big deal. I actually went vegan, which worked really well. Let me tell you, if you need to lose a lot of weight healthily and pretty quickly, going vegan is definitely the case. Sadly, I'm actually not that way now. More because I'm a good cook, but I'm not a very good vegan chef. I don't know a lot of the recipes or a lot of the techniques to keep it varied, and so I was having issues on burning out of eating the same things. Not that there's a variety out there, but because my my lack of expertise. But I'm actually going to go back to that. I'm going to make a game plan and set everything up and do that right. But yeah, so I went vegan and I lost 80 pounds. And then, I was trying to find a good gender therapist. That was the other big thing is, I knew I had to do these steps right. And anyone who's thinking of transitioning, I implore you to really plan everything out. Make sure you only do it once. Do it once correctly. Don't be the type of person that kind of, waxes and wanes and kind of half doesn't, kind of doesn't. Do it once, do it right. I had even made plans to see a gender therapist 3 hours away because I didn't know anyone else. And thankfully, I finally started to meet trans people in the Orlando area, which was near enough near me, and there was a really good gender therapist there. And so I decided to go to him, and thankfully he wasn't a gatekeeper mentality. That's another thing. Avoid therapists who are gatekeepers. So when I say gatekeepers, I mean someone that says, basically someone says you have to, follow these sets of rules by what I think you should be before I can write you the letter so you get hormones. Now my therapist, I asked at the 4th session, I said, listen, I think we're going through this. You've had enough time to listen to me. I really would like my letter if you think that I'm, that it would be a good time for this. And he said, absolutely. And that's the kind of therapist you want, he didn't jump at, you're like, oh, let's get you on hormones right away. It was more like he was waiting for me to say the right time. That's important. That's a good sign of the good therapist. Yeah, so that's pretty much, yeah. So the big thing for me was losing weight and then getting to the therapist to get my letter. And then after that, I saw my endocrinologist and I started hormones in April, and honestly, hormones were the best thing to ever happen to me, physically or chemically. I still have my ups and my downs, and lately I've been having a lot more downs, but that's a lot of other stress factors, and not even so much trans, like I said. It's funny, like, you get rid of one thing, being trans, and you kind of realize that you have a whole slew of other problems that come up. Like, I recently discovered that I'm codependent, which now I get to start working on that. So I'm either going to go back to the same therapist I saw before. Unfortunately, he was out of pocket just because he didn't accept my insurance, or I'm going to try and see a local therapist who will collect my insurance. Because my codependency issues, while exacerbated by being transgendered, weren't really the cause of it. It was an independent problem. So yeah, so that's about it. I'm gonna keep it there. It's been going on here about 15 minutes. I really didn't mean to go this long. Just a lot of information. Really would have gonna meant these two different subjects, but that's fine. Honestly, I don't mind talking at length about them. If anyone has any questions, please message me, through TransByDef, or my own personal page, or in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. And until next week, you guys have a lovely day, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.